The fluorescent lights of Jefferson Elementary's cafeteria buzzed overhead as 30 parents squeezed into metal folding chairs. But tonight's PTA meeting was different. Tonight, Brenda Matthews stood up, her designer handbag glinting under the harsh lights, and pointed a perfectly manicured finger at Sarah Chen. "This woman," Brenda's voice dripped with venom, "has been stealing from our children." The room went silent. Sarah's face drained of color as every head turned toward her. "My husband's a lawyer," Brenda continued, her voice rising. "And you have no idea who you're messing with." Sarah clutched her binder of receipts, tears threatening to spill, but said nothing. Other parents shifted uncomfortably, avoiding eye contact. For 6 months, Brenda had bulldozed through every meeting, but tonight she'd gone too far. Sarah was the PTA treasurer, working 2 jobs after her divorce, doing everything to give her daughter a stable life. Now Brenda was claiming she'd stolen funds and was taking her to court. Within days, Sarah's daughter came home crying. Kids were calling her mom a thief. Sarah had always avoided confrontation, but this wasn't about her anymore. This was about her child, her integrity, her livelihood. If Brenda wanted a legal battle, she'd get one. But what happened next in that courtroom? Nobody could have predicted it. Before we see how Sarah fights back, smash that like button if you love watching entitled people get destroyed. Subscribe now, because what Judge Judy does live in that courtroom has never been done before. You won't believe what happens next. Sarah walked into the legal aid office with shaking hands but a steel resolve. The attorney, Maria Rodriguez, listened carefully as Sarah explained everything. "You have grounds for a countersuit," Maria said, leaning forward. "Defamation, harassment, emotional distress?" Sarah opened her laptop and Maria's eyes widened. Sarah had kept everything. Every single receipt, every bank statement, every text message. Screenshots of Brenda's messages in the PTA, group chat calling her a con artist and probably on drugs. Even a cell phone video from another parent showing Brenda threatening her at a meeting. Meanwhile, Brenda wasn't backing down. She showed up at school pickup, spreading poison to anyone who'd listen. She posted in the neighborhood Facebook group about Sarah's criminal behavior. Then came the certified letter demanding $5,000 for emotional distress. Sarah read it twice. The grammar was awful, the legal terminology completely wrong. This wasn't written by any lawyer. Sarah did what Brenda should have feared. She researched. Brenda's husband, Stephen Matthews, was a corporate tax attorney in Delaware. He'd never practiced litigation, never even seen the inside of a courtroom, and according to his LinkedIn, he'd been working out of state for 2 years. They were separated. The community split into camps. Some believed Brenda's lies. Sarah's daughter Maya came home sobbing. "Everyone's saying you're a thief, Mom." Sarah held her close, tears streaming down both their faces. "Baby, I promise you the truth will come out." She filed her countersuit the next morning. When Brenda got served, she posted online, "Can't believe I'm being attacked for protecting our children. My lawyer husband says this is textbook harassment." But Sarah had discovered something Brenda didn't know. A producer from Judge Judy's show had contacted her. They wanted this case. Sarah said yes immediately. The court date was set, 30 days. Brenda thought she was walking into small claims court. She had no idea what was really waiting for her. Sarah arrived at the CBS Television City studio 2 hours early. Her hands trembled slightly as she walked past the cameras, the lighting rigs, the production crew bustling around. This wasn't a dusty courthouse. This was Judge Judy's domain. She sat in the waiting area, reviewing her evidence binder one last time. Every receipt, every bank statement, every screenshot. She was ready. Brenda arrived 30 minutes later in a cream Chanel suit, her confidence radiating like a force field. She strutted past the crew, designer sunglasses perched on her head. Then she saw the cameras. Her face flickered just for a second with something that looked like panic. But she recovered quickly, louder than before. "Good," she announced to no one in particular. "The whole world will see what a thief looks like." The bailiff called them in. Judge Judy Scheindlin entered and the room fell silent. She was smaller in person but commanded the space like a general. She sat, flipped open the case file, and her sharp eyes scanned the pages. Without looking up, she fired her first question. "You're claiming the defendant stole PTA funds. What's your evidence?" Brenda launched into a performance. Her hands waved dramatically. Her voice rose and fell like an actress in a melodrama. "Your Honor, she had access to the money and suddenly there are discrepancies, and as a concerned mother, I didn't ask for a performance." Judge Judy cut her off like a knife through butter. "I asked for evidence. Do you have financial records? Bank statements? An audit?" Brenda stumbled. "Well, no, but everyone knows. I don't care what everyone knows. I care what you can prove." Sarah's turn came. She stood calmly, placed her binder on the podium, and began. Every transaction was accounted for down to the penny. She'd even paid $200 for an independent audit from a certified accountant. The result? Zero discrepancies. Not a single missing cent, Your Honor, this is fake, Brenda shouted, interrupting.
My husband's a lawyer and he says, "Ma'am." Judge Judy's voice could have frozen lava.
I don't care if your husband is the Attorney General. You're in my courtroom now, Sarah continued. She presented printed Facebook posts where Brenda had called her a con artist and said she was probably on drugs. Text, message screenshots where Brenda wrote, "My husband will destroy her." Written testimony from other parents. Brenda called Sarah a thief in front of 30 parents at pickup. My daughter was told not to play with Sarah's daughter because her mom is a criminal. Then came the video, shaky, cell phone footage from a PTA meeting showing Brenda pointing at Sarah. Her voice venomous. You will be held accountable. Judge Judy turned back to Brenda. Where's your evidence of theft? I just know something's wrong. My husband reviewed everything and agrees. Then where is your husband? Why isn't he here representing you? Brenda's face flushed. He's busy. He's a very important corporate lawyer. So he had time to review all this evidence but couldn't appear in court. That's convenient. Judge Judy leaned forward. What type of law does he practice? Corporate, tax, litigation? Brenda's voice wavered. Judge Judy's stare could have melted steel. You don't even know. Then came the moment that would break the internet. Judge Judy closed the file. You keep invoking your lawyer husband. Let's call him right now. Brenda's face went white as a sheet. That's not necessary, Your Honor. Oh, I think it is. Bailiff, your phone. He's in meetings. He can't be disturbed. Then he can call back. What's his number? Brenda was trapped. She stammered out the digits. The courtroom held its breath as the phone rang on speaker. Once, twice, 3 times. Voicemail. Judge Judy's voice was crisp. This is Judge Judy Schindlin. Your wife Brenda is in my courtroom claiming you're her attorney. Call me back immediately. 5 minutes of brutal questioning followed. Brenda contradicted herself 3 times. Then the phone rang. Judge Judy answered. This is Judge Judy. A man's nervous voice filled the courtroom. Yes, Your Honor, I got your message. I'm very confused. The courtroom was so quiet you could hear the camera operators breathing. Judge Judy held the phone to her ear, her expression unreadable. Stephen Matthews' voice came through the speaker, uncertain and confused. Your Honor, I'm not sure why you're calling me. Judge Judy didn't waste a second. Your wife is in my courtroom. She claims you're representing her in a case involving stolen PTA funds. Is that accurate? The pause felt like an eternity. Sarah could see Brenda's chest rising and falling rapidly, her perfectly applied makeup starting to crack around the edges. What? Stephen's voice rose in pitch. No, Your Honor, I'm a tax attorney. I don't practice litigation and I'm not even licensed in California. A gasp rippled through the courtroom. The camera operators leaned in closer. This was gold. Have you reviewed any evidence in this case? Judge Judy continued, her tone sharp as a scalpel. No, Your Honor. Stephen sounded tired now, resigned. Brenda mentioned some PTA drama a few months ago. I told her to either handle it herself or drop it entirely. I wanted no part of it. Brenda's face transformed from white to crimson. Her mortification twisted into pure rage. She lunged toward the bench, reaching for the phone. Stephen, don't say another. Ma'am, sit down. Judge Judy's voice cracked like a whip. The bailiff stepped forward and Brenda collapsed back into her seat, shaking. Judge Judy continued as if there had been no interruption. Sir, did you advise your wife to sue Ms. Sarah Chen? Stephen sighed audibly through the phone. No, Your Honor, I specifically told her not to pursue this. I said, and I remember saying this clearly, if she couldn't prove actual theft with proper documentation, she'd be opening herself up to a defamation lawsuit. I warned her this could backfire badly. And did she listen to your advice? A bitter laugh came through the speaker. Clearly not. Judge Judy leaned back in her chair, studying Brenda with the intensity of an entomologist examining an unusual insect. One more question, Mr. Matthews. Do you and your wife currently live together? The silence stretched. Sarah could see Brenda's hands gripping the table so hard her knuckles had turned white. We're separated, Your Honor. Stephen's voice was quiet but clear. I work in Delaware. Have for the past 2 years. We're working through some things. Or rather, we were. Thank you for your honesty, Mr. Matthews. You can hang up now. The click of the disconnected call echoed through the studio. For 3 full seconds, nobody moved. Then Brenda exploded. She shot to her feet, her chair screeching backward. How dare he? We are not separated. He's confused. He doesn't understand what he's saying. Your Honor, he's under a lot of stress at work and sit down. Judge Judy's voice was ice. Or I will hold you in contempt of court, and you'll spend the night in jail. Is that what you want? Brenda sat. Her mascara was running now. Black tears cutting tracks through her foundation, but her eyes blazed with fury, not remorse. She tried one last time. Your Honor, this doesn't change the fact that money is missing from— What money? Judge Judy cut her off. The independent audit shows zero discrepancies. Not one penny. You have no evidence. What you do have is a documented pattern of harassment, defamation, and malicious behavior. Judge Judy turned to Sarah's side of the courtroom. Ms. Chen, let's discuss your countersuit. Sarah stood steadier now. The worst was over. The truth was out. You're asking for $10,000 in damages, Judge Judy read from the file. Break that down for me. Sarah opened her folder. Your Honor, after Brenda's accusation started, my daughter Maya began having severe anxiety. She's 8 years old. She came home crying multiple times because children were calling me a thief, saying she couldn't play with them because her mother was a criminal. Sarah's voice cracked slightly, but she pushed through. I had to put her in therapy. The bills so far are $840. Judge Judy nodded, making notes. I was also asked to step down from 2 volunteer positions I held, one at the library, one coaching Maya's soccer team. The other parents said they were uncomfortable having me around money or children until things were cleared up. My reputation in our community has been destroyed. Sarah pulled out more papers. I have written statements from 3 other parents. They all say the same thing. Brenda has a pattern of bullying anyone who disagrees with her. She called one mother trailer trash in a group chat. She told another she'd make sure her kid never gets into a good college. She's been doing this for years. Judge Judy read through the statements, her expression growing darker. She looked up at Brenda. You weaponized a serious accusation with zero proof. You invoked a husband who not only isn't your attorney but specifically warned you not to do this. You've damaged this woman's reputation in your community. You've traumatized her child. And you've wasted this court's time with your lies and theatrics. Brenda opened her mouth but nothing came out. Judge Judy turned back to Sarah. How much did the independent audit cost you? $200, Your Honor. And the therapy bills to date? $840, Your Honor. Judge Judy made more notes, then looked at the evidence spread before her. Screenshots of Facebook posts where Brenda called Sarah a con artist and suggested she was on drugs. Text. Messages where Brenda wrote, my husband will destroy her in court. Posts in the neighborhood group warning parents to watch their wallets around Sarah. A video of Brenda at school pickup, loudly telling a cluster of mothers that Sarah was under investigation for theft. Ms. Matthews, Judge Judy's voice was steel. In 30 years on the bench, I've seen a lot of petty behavior. But you're in a class by yourself. You tried to destroy a woman's life because of what? Boredom? A power trip? Because you enjoy making people suffer? Brenda stared at the floor, her jaw clenched. You didn't just make an accusation. You launched a campaign. You poisoned an entire community against an innocent woman. You made an 8-year-old child a target for bullying. And for what? For nothing. Because there was no theft. There never was. Judge Judy closed the file with a sharp snap. I'm ready to rule. The courtroom held its collective breath. Sarah felt her heart pounding so hard she thought everyone could hear it. This was it. Months of hell, of sleepless nights, of watching her daughter cry, of walking through her neighborhood with her head down. It all came down to this moment. Okay, I need to know. Are you Team Sarah or did Brenda have any point? Drop a comment, and if you're loving watching Brenda's world collapse, smash that subscribe button because the judgment is about to be delivered, and it's more satisfying than you think. Judge Judy straightened the papers in front of her, looked directly at Brenda, and spoke with the finality of a door slamming shut. I'm dismissing the plaintiff's case. There is no evidence of theft, none, not a shred. Brenda's mouth opened to protest, but Judge Judy's glare froze her solid. On the countersuit, I find in favor of the defendant, Sarah Chen. Judge Judy's voice rang through the courtroom. Ms. Matthews, you are ordered to pay the following. $200 for the independent audit that you forced Ms. Chen to purchase to prove her innocence. $840 for therapy costs for an 8-year-old child whose mother you slandered. $2,000 in defamation damages. $500 in court costs. Total, $3,540. Brenda's face crumpled like paper. Her perfect facade shattered completely. The designer suit suddenly looked like a costume, ridiculous and out of place. But Judge Judy wasn't finished. Furthermore, you are ordered to post a public apology on the same Facebook group where you defamed Ms. Chen. It will state exactly this. I falsely accused Sarah Chen of theft. She has been fully cleared by an independent audit showing zero financial discrepancies. I apologize for damaging her reputation and causing harm to her and her daughter. Do you understand? Brenda nodded weakly, mascara streaking her cheeks. You have 48 hours. If that apology is not posted word for word as I've stated, I will add another $1,000 in sanctions. Are we clear? Yes, Your Honor, Brenda whispered, barely audible. Judge Judy leaned forward, and what came next was the most devastating part. Her voice dropped, became almost conversational, which somehow made it more cutting. Let me be very clear about something, Ms. Matthews. Your behavior wasn't just wrong. It was malicious. It was unfounded. It was cruel. You tried to destroy someone's life. A woman who was working 2 jobs to support her child. A woman who volunteered her time for your children's school. And for what? Because you enjoy the power? Because you're bored? Because you can? Brenda stared at the floor, saying nothing. There was nothing to say. Your lawyer husband, and I use that term loosely since he's apparently your separated husband who told you explicitly not to do this. He saw this coming a mile away. Maybe next time you'll actually listen to the advice you keep claiming to have. Judge Judy turned to Sarah, and her expression softened just slightly. Ms. Chen, you handled this situation with grace, dignity, and evidence. That's how you win in my courtroom. That's how you win in life. You did everything right. Sarah's eyes filled with tears, but this time they were tears of relief, a vindication of a weight finally lifted. Thank you, Your Honor. Judge Judy picked up her gavel. We're done here. The bang echoed through the studio like thunder. Outside the courtroom, cameras still rolled. A producer grabbed Sarah for a quick interview. Her voice was shaky but strong. I just wanted my daughter to know that the truth matters. That standing up for yourself matters. That bullies don't get to win. Brenda burst through the doors behind her, sunglasses already on despite being indoors, phone pressed to her ear. I don't care what he said, Mom. He humiliated me on national. She shoved past the cameras and disappeared into a waiting Uber. 2 other mothers who'd submitted written statements rushed to Sarah, wrapping her in hugs. You did what we were all too scared to do, one of them said. Thank you. Within 24 hours, the clip exploded across the internet. 2.5 million views. The comment section was ruthless. My husband's a lawyer is the new let me speak to your manager. Justice for Sarah trended on Twitter. Screenshots of Brenda's forced apologies circulated everywhere, each comment more scathing than the last. The neighborhood Facebook group that had once been Brenda's kingdom turned against her completely. Public opinion flipped overnight. Justice, it turned out, tasted very sweet. Brenda Matthews never showed up to another PTA meeting. The chair she'd once dominated like a throne sat empty week after week. Parents who'd hung on her every word suddenly had convenient excuses when she texted, Sorry, can't do coffee. Things are crazy right now. Let's catch up soon. Translation, don't call us, we won't call you. Within a week, Brenda deleted her Facebook entirely. Her Instagram went private, the follower count dropping daily as people hit unfollow. The payment came through a lawyer, not Stephen, but a local attorney Sarah had never heard of. A check for $3,540, accompanied by a brief note on Stephen's corporate letterhead. I'm sorry my wife put you through this. She's getting help. Sarah stared at that last line for a long time. Getting help. She hoped it was true. She hoped Brenda's daughter would be okay. Because yes, Brenda had transferred her to a different school district. A fresh start, away from the wreckage. The PTA held an emergency meeting. 50 parents showed up, the most attendance they'd had in years. New policies were voted in unanimously. No public accusations without evidence. Mandatory respect and anti-bullying. Training for all board members and a transparent audit process for all funds. They offered Sarah the position of PTA president. She declined. I appreciate it, but I've had enough drama for one lifetime. But she agreed to stay on as treasurer. Transparency matters, she said simply. Stephen Matthews filed for formal separation 3 weeks after the episode aired. The divorce papers, which became public record, cited irreconcilable differences and irreparable damage to reputation. Mutual friends of the couple quietly revealed what many had suspected. This wasn't Brenda's first rodeo. She'd terrorized neighbors over property lines, reduced waiters to tears over minor mistakes, threatened service workers with bad reviews. The Judge Judy appearance wasn't the beginning. It was just the most public meltdown. It was the final straw that broke Stephen's patience. But while Brenda's world collapsed, Sarah's expanded. Maya's therapist reported genuine progress. She's resilient, the therapist told Sarah. And she learned something important from you. In one session, Maya said something that made Sarah cry. Mom showed me that bullies don't always win. You just have to tell the truth and be brave. Sarah's boss at the marketing firm where she worked called her into his office. She'd braced for awkwardness. The video had gone viral after all. Instead, he offered her a promotion. I saw how you handled that situation, he said. The professionalism, the preparation, the grace under pressure. If you can handle that courtroom, you can handle anything we throw at you. The raise meant Sarah could finally cut back to one job. More time with Maya. More time to breathe. Parents from across the country started reaching out. Emails, DMs, handwritten letters. I'm facing something similar. What do I do? Sarah started a blog called Parent Advocate, posting resources, templates for documentation, advice on dealing with school conflicts. Local news picked up her story. Mom stands up to PTA bully. A parenting magazine featured her. How one woman fought back against false accusations and won. Her message was consistent. Document everything. Stay calm. Truth is your best defense. 6 months later, Sarah ran into Brenda at the grocery store. Their carts nearly collided in the produce section. Brenda's eyes went wide. She grabbed her cart and hurried away without a word, disappearing around the corner. Sarah stood there for a moment, waiting for anger or satisfaction to hit. Instead, she felt nothing, just peace. Some people never learn. But Sarah had learned she was stronger than she'd ever known. And that was enough. At Jefferson Elementary, the entire culture shifted. Parents who'd stayed silent during Brenda's reign found their voices. The new PTA meetings were collaborative, respectful, actually productive. Maya came home one afternoon and hugged Sarah tight. Mom, thank you for fighting for us. The principal asked Sarah to help design a new anti-bullying program for the whole district. One case, one woman's courage had changed everything. 3 years have passed since that courtroom showdown. Text appears on screen. Sarah Chen continues to volunteer with the PTA and advocates for parents' rights across the state. Cut to another update. Her daughter Maya graduated elementary school with honors and has a close circle of friends. Then, Brenda Matthews moved to another town. Her divorce was finalized 8 months after the court case. Final text. The Judge Judy episode remains one of the most viewed clips from the show with over 15 million views. 3 other parents from Jefferson Elementary came forward with their own stories of Brenda's bullying. Sarah sits in a coffee shop for a follow-up interview. Older now, more confident. The interviewer asks the obvious question. Do you ever regret taking it to court? Never, Sarah answers without hesitation. The money was never the point. It was about standing up when someone tries to destroy you with lies. Brenda thought my husband's a lawyer was some kind of magic shield. But truth doesn't care about threats. Truth doesn't care about designer handbags or who you know or how loud you can yell. She leans forward, her voice passionate but measured. If you're being bullied like I was, document everything. Every text, every email, every witness. Stay professional even when they're losing their minds. Be calm, be organized, and let them bury themselves with their own behavior. And remember something important. The bullies are usually the most fragile people. That's exactly why they bully. The camera shifts to a wider view. Brenda's biggest mistake wasn't just the false accusation. It was assuming that volume equals power, that threats equal strength, that intimidation equals authority. But in Judge Judy's courtroom and in life, evidence speaks louder than entitlement. Sarah's quiet strength, her meticulous preparation, her dignity under fire, defeated Brenda's loud cruelty. And sometimes, that's exactly how justice works. The final scene shows a PTA meeting at Jefferson Elementary. Sarah sits at the table as a new parent nervously raises her hand to suggest an idea. Sarah smiles warmly. That's a great idea. Let's hear everyone's thoughts. The camera slowly pans across the room, pausing on an empty chair, the one where Brenda used to hold court. Maya watches from the doorway, 13 now, smiling with pride at her mother. The shot fades on Sarah's face, confident and at peace. If this story proves anything, it's that standing up to bullies works, especially when you have the truth on your side. If you loved watching Brenda get exactly what she deserved, smash that like button right now. Subscribe to this channel for more justice stories that'll restore your faith in karma, and drop a comment telling me, what's the worst case of someone using my husband's a lawyer, or a similar entitled threat you've ever witnessed? Let's share our stories and remind everyone that entitled behavior always catches up with you eventually. Thanks for watching, and remember, document everything, stay calm, and let the truth do the talking.